Medicine at Durgapur. I'm Moshiki Ghosh.
And I'm Dhruv and will be your host for this evening.
On behalf of Team EDC, we welcome you all. We are proud to present the next keynote speaker of ESUMMIT 2022, Mr. Anubhav Sapra, an avid culinary explorer who primarily creates content focused on street food and travel, has a massive following of over 1 million subscribers on YouTube.
His videos which depict a multitude of prismatic tints of a diverse range of food has catapulted him as one of the stalwarts of the domain of food blogging. And we believe that his opinions and advice about the same would be incredibly enlightening.
Mr. Sapra is an individual who believes vehemently on the idea of forging and nurturing cultural connections through the vibrant canvas of food. And this is evident from the content that he creates.
His perspective and contrarianism is something to be a witness of. We are deeply grateful to have you. The Entrepreneurship Development Cell, NIT Durgapur, welcomes you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're perfectly
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah, please tell me.
Yes, sir. We have some questions prepared for you. You started blogging in 2011, considering that social media was not a popular medium at that time. How difficult was it to sustain your passion in the earlier days of your career?
See, the blogging scene has changed in last 1 decade in India. When I started blogging, it was all about writing food articles. It was all about writing work. Now it has changed. Now it has shifted more towards videos. And so I wrote almost more than 300 blogs on my website. And that time the idea was just to document the street food culture in Delhi and to write about the lesser known places. So most of the people who were into this field, they were kind of serious into blogging space. It was all about writing. But in last 4-5 years, you can say 2017, 18, around that time, this whole YouTube scene started in India. It already started in the Western countries, but in India, I think it started a bit late around food blogging. So now it has shifted to vlogs, you can say.
All right, sir. So how and when did the idea of Delhi food walks came to your mind? Like, what was the story behind it?
So the story is, I started Delhi food walks with a blog page. And as I said, the idea was just to document the street food places in Delhi. And that blog took the shape of food walks. And I realized that in Delhi, there were many things happening around the walks. There were heritage walks, there were art walks, there were architecture walks, there were history walks, but nothing was related to food walks. So I started that. I started conducting food walks in Delhi. And the idea came just one day. I organized the first food walk near the New Delhi railway station in December 2010. And the idea was to explore street food places with like-minded people, those who love exploring, those who are food enthusiasts. And I realized people who are living in Delhi, they don't know about the places, what to eat, where to eat in Delhi. I'll just give you an example. Sorry? Yeah, I'll just give you an example.
Yes, sir,
in Paharganj, there is a place near railway station. There is a place where you get killer kulcha. So when I took the group on a food walk near the railway station, I realized those who joined the food walk, there were 30 of them. No one knew about that place. So that idea that day itself clicked me that I can kind of organize it on a sustained level. I can do it professionally, and I started doing it full time. So it then started like straight away the same day. I had a day job. I was working in non-profit sector. I worked there till 2014, and in 2014 I quit my job and started doing it full time. So it took me almost 4 years to realize that I can make it a full-time profession. So blog was something you can say the idea of Delhi food walks germinated through a food the shape of food walks. It was to introduce the locals and international visitors to the food diversity which we have in Delhi. And then over the period of time, it became now we are into content space as well. So we create food content online on YouTube and other social media platforms. So we have three verticals. We conduct food walks in Delhi and Jaipur, and then we organize food festivals, and the third is the content creation. Yes, please.
So, since you mentioned that it took you a few years to come up with this idea, so how did your family respond to your choice in choosing food blogging as a career? What was their reaction?
See, as I said, like I was not when I started this, it was not my full-time profession. I was doing it more as a kind of hobby thing. It was my passion which I was following, and the passion took the shape of profession. So in initial years, I got sustained because I was getting my day-to-day expenses covered, like everything. Mostly because I had a day job, so I was getting my salary. But after some time, it was quite difficult in initial years, and you don't get like kind of paid assignments to write articles, food articles, especially if you're writing about street food culture or street food in different parts of city. They don't pay you to write about them. So initially there's nothing, but yeah. So the food walks, which I was continuing, which I was conducting, from that I could generate some money out of it. So that was kind of supporting my food blogging thing, which I was doing as a passion. So my family response initially was like they didn't understand what exactly I'm doing. If I was to tell them I'm doing food walks, they didn't understand कि अच्छा ये यहाँ जाके यहाँ पे लोगों को like you introduce them to the food of a place, you tell them the stories about different street food vendors. It was quite difficult to make them understand in initial years, but over the period of time, they also realized that yeah, this is something for which I can at least earn and make my living. So it took time, but over the period of time, they also kind of being very supportive.
It's, so how do you consider that your choice of career has helped small businesses throughout the country?
How has my this the food the
Food
videos
blogging,
which
yes,
I
sir.
create has this supported the community? That's what you're asking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So see, when you write a blog or if you make a video about any particular place, it helps the local economy. Like there are few places which you and secondly, it's also about entertainment. So firstly, we have to understand that when we see street food, it's not only about entertainment; it's about the livelihood of the people who are dependent on it. So when we create a blog or when we write a blog, it helps the local vendor in generating or kind of attracting more business. So if you had seen this, the whole thing which happened in Delhi, the social media, we have a very latest kind of example of Baba Ka Dhaba, which happened in Delhi. You can see the impact which it created. So by just adding one video, the life of that I don't remember the name of that person. So Baba Katha, which is in Malvi Nagar, Delhi, it changed suddenly overnight. So you can see the impact of social media is huge. It's kind of democratic. So if any blogger or if any writer or any video content creator, if they post about a place, it helps the local vendor in generating revenue, generating more livelihood, and the promoting the economy. So it helps in many ways.
Yes, sir. Since we're talking about small food businesses, we also have noticed that COVID had hit in 2020, affecting a lot of businesses. So, what is your opinion in this regard? How has it affected small food businesses? Like,
Uh, See, when we talk about small food business, it's all about the street food vendors. When the first lockdown happened in India, in fact, I was the first one to raise the voice of street food vendors in India. Everyone was talking about the restaurant industry, people who are into restaurants, who are working in the restaurant owners, because they have this body called NRAI, National Restaurant Association of India. But in India, we don't have any one body or one platform that represents the interest of street food vendors. And we have organizations like NASPI or National Hawkers Federation of India. They work for all different categories of street vendors. It will include as a person who is selling, say, clothes on the streets, or a person selling newspapers on the street. So it's a kind of combine of combination of all different vendors. They club it together as a street vendor. But it was there were not a there's not a till date there's not a single organization that works for street food vendors. So, and there is no data as well with the government that how many street food vendors exist in a city or say in India. So they just we started with this whole exercise of we created one survey where we asked all the street food all the people why they eat on the streets, what makes them why did what will happen, like say when the shops will reopen, say the post-COVID time, what would make them eat comfortably on the streets? So we created this survey, and we realized there are many issues, there are many structural issues which should be taken care of. And we created a document which we finally submitted to FSSAI, that's Food Safety Standard Authority of India. So I'll say, like, when you talk about street food business or street food vendors, the first thing would be to take into consideration all the stakeholders who are involved in that business. Like first, if you talk about a street food vendor, it's about from where they source their ingredients, and what are the different contact points of all different street food vendors, the views of the customers or the consumers who are eating on the streets. So taking into consideration, then you can come at a certain point. These are the structural changes which should be made if we wish to sustain all the street food businesses in India. So yeah. I hope I answered your question. I hope I didn't digress from the question which you asked me.
No, sir, it was
if you,
a very
if you
nice
can
answer.
bring them, if you can happen, like I see this is a very long kind of discussion. I don't have a straight away answer like what happened to the street food businesses in India, because at that time no one was talking about them when the first lockdown happened. Then I asked many people, like, have you seen your local chai wala when you go out after 2-3 months on the street? Have you seen them? So many had like, no, they have moved out, because we have all seen most of the street food vendors, whether you are in say Durgapur, or if you are in Delhi or Mumbai or Bangalore, there are few cities from where they migrate. It would be like say UP, Bihar, Odisha. These two, three places, most of the street food vendors are from these states. Wherever like you are, if you are eating street food in Bangalore, or if you are eating street food in Mumbai, or if you are eating street food in Darjeeling, everywhere most of the street food vendors are from these two, three states. So we have to understand the migrationary pattern which happens, how the vendors migrate from one place to other city, and then when lockdown happened, they all had to return back to their homes. So there's a lot of business, and we were talking about the food of the restaurants, but no one was talking about the food or the street food vendors, where they are. So it took us a lot of effort to, and we started a campaign around that time. We called it I Stand with Street Food Vendors. So just to kind of spread awareness and to establish that connection with the street food vendors. And when we say street food or small vendors or small food business, we can include all other categories as well. We have one category of home chefs, home kitchens, which are being run in major metro cities. Then you have street food vendors. Then you have small caterers. So there are different categories. So when we talk about them, we have to take into consideration all their the impact of COVID on all of them.
Yes, so we have noticed the same in our college campus. A lot of vendors have gone back to their original states, and they're returning right now. But we have noticed this pattern in the lockdown during the recent years. So, sir, coming to your recent food experiences, what has been your worst food experience in your YouTube channel so far?
Oh, worst? That's not a pleasant question. So worst, I didn't have any worst food experience as such. Wherever we go, we do the places which are on our list. Most of them are quite known places or lesser known places as well. But I don't remember any worst experience I ever had on my like my blog. And there could be no. We have to kind of respect the food culture of different communities. So it could be some flavors could be strange to us, but for that community, that might be their day-to-day food culture. So we can't say that this has been um, the worst experience. It could be some strange experiences because first time you are encountering that flavors and textures. So you can call it a strange, but not, I think, weird.
Right, sir, we got that one. So coming on to the next main question, what are the entrepreneurial aspect of food blogging?
Entrepreneurial aspect of food blogging. Um, See, now in last 4 5 years, the food blogging scene has quite evolved. It has it's still evolving. And when you say what could be like, people can they can make a career out of it. They can make a living out of it. There have been many instances, like there have been many famous food bloggers who are quite well established. They are earning good money. They can create their own whole ecosystem of creating content. They are on all different platforms. In fact, I was reading a news article, an article today in ST Branch, where they have mentioned like how the chef community, whom we used to regard as the work which they used to do inside the kitchen, now it's everything is in public, and the chefs have become a new celebrity stars. Like if you see a Sanjeev Kapoor or Vikas Khanna or Ranbir Brar anywhere, people will go and ask for the selfies, or they will go and kind of ask for the pictures. So that has changed. So the face of food bloggers or food blogging, it was more behind the scene because you were writing it, and now you are in the forefront. You appear on different social media platforms, and you kind of make a good entrepreneurial career out of it.
So since you're saying that young and like budding entrepreneurs can see this as an opportunity to build a career in, how do you like eliminate competition or rise against other food bloggers? So
That should never be the aim, to eliminate anyone or to rise against anyone. The competition is always from yourself, from within yourself. You don't have to eliminate anyone. Everyone has a different style of working. Everyone has a different style of explanation. Everyone has a different style of making a food blog. Like say, I'll give you an example. A one food place which has been visited by 10 food bloggers, you will see like out of 10 of them would have different styles of making a blog or telling a story about certain thing. So we should not think about it as a elimination of other from. It's a kind of a community thing, and we should always respect the diversity in terms of creating content online. So I'd say like this, we should regard this, and I never regard anyone as a competitor. As the competition is from yourself.
Right, so we perfectly got that one. So do you think young and budding entrepreneurs can see this as an opportunity to build a career?
Yes, so you can build a career out of it, provided that you have that passion and you have interest in it. And this, we should, when anyone starts a food channel or food blogging, they should see it first as a passion project and keep doing it for a longer period to understand that they can make a career out of it. So it's not a one day thing that you it's not a kind of a job that you do a certain course and that you're qualified to become a blogger. There is no, I can't see both of you.
So since we're talking about people building a career out of this, so can we consider like food blogging as a lucrative business?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm saying that, see, business, when you say business, what does it mean? Like business is something which you are buying and selling, or you are just generating some revenue out of your work to sustain yourself and your team. So that depends. How do you see it as as food blogging? So most of the food blogging which happens in India is more individual driven. So there are a few organizations where they create an ecosystem of food blogging, but most of them are individual driven. Like if you just go and search on YouTube, you see most of the people who are creating content online, they are doing this as an individual person, individual blogger. They are not part of, as like say if you have food channels on TV channels, you have say food, and food you have 10 different shows, and 10 different shows are hosted by 10 different people. But in YouTube, you see like one person doing different kind of shows. So it's more individual driven. And secondly, when you talk about as a business, it takes time. It's nothing that you can like say when you do your MBA or you do your engineering, you have certain kind of job or like placement which happen from your campus. But I haven't heard of any like say IHM student being picked up by a food blogger saying that now they can work as a food blogger with that channel. So it's a different thing. It's not about say you generate and straight away you start generating revenue the first day when you join this food blogging space. Even on YouTube, you have a criteria that you have to have like 1,000 subscribers and you have to have like 4,000 watch hours. Then your channel will qualify for monetization, and then you start generating revenue. So there is nothing called that the day when you join food blogging and you start earning money, and you don't have even guarantee that might after. I'm being a bit skeptical, saying that after 1 year, you might like say it will say that, oh, we couldn't generate that much revenue which you were expecting. You might spend more in traveling and eating on the restaurants. So, but it takes time. If you have interest, if you have passion, one can do it for a longer period and then make a career out of it. So it can't be, I could say, it's not a one-day thing. It's not a one-day international match. It could be termed as a test match. So where patience, perseverance, all needs to be taken care of.
Taking everything into account, what would you have done if not food blogging?
Sorry?
So taking everything that comes into account, perseverance and consistency, right? What would you have done if not food blogging?
What I haven't done if not food blogging?
Yes, if it wasn't for food blogging, what else would you have chosen for as a career option?
I would have worked as a social worker. I was working in a non-profit sector. I worked there for 4 years full time as an NGO worker. So I would have been working in non-profit organization.
So are you still connected to some non-profit organizations, even when you are a food blogger right now?
Yes, I do a lot of social projects on and off. Like we were working on a documentary about the relationship of homeless people with the food. So the food is there, but the subject has changed over the period of time.
All right, sir. So if you were to unite India under a food, what dish would it be?
I would say momo.
Momo? Any specific reason for momo?
That's has become. We should name momo as a national street food of India. You travel anywhere, any state, any region, any district, any place, you will find a hawker with steamer selling momo. So it's like kind of omnipresent, like it's everywhere. So I think straight away the answer should be momo, or say like dosa is also another dish which is you see not only in South or it's everywhere. But I would say in last few years it has become like momo is the one dish.
So considering that India's street food organization is very unorganized, right? So if some entrepreneur were to organize this sector, do you think that there are many opportunities that are open? Consider, for an example, the company Wow Momos that had recently started, right? It tried to organize the street food culture of India, and it got somewhere. So what do you think in such aspects can a young entrepreneur can try to organize other food sectors of India?
You see, Wow Momo is, I think you've taken one example. Wow Momo is there, there are many of them. Chai Sutta Bar is there. Then these days, like many organizations which have started from one dish and quite of expanded into different sectors. But what I feel the need of the hour, just give me a second. Yeah, what I feel need of the hour is not to just pick one dish and make 100 dishes out of it and kind of expand. And if you would ask me, I would suggest like if someone can come up with an idea of regional delicacies, picking up regional dishes and kind of experimenting it or taking it to another level. Let's say I'll give you an example. I was in Chhattisgarh recently. We went to this place called Gad Kaleva. If you have been to Chhattisgarh, this Gad Kaleva model is like in every district of Chhattisgarh. I don't know exactly, but I think it's in Virai as well. So in different where you go one place and you get the regional food of that particular state under one roof. So I think actually one can do that. That would be quite a big contribution towards the food of India. Where, like, say, if you are visiting a place for 1 day or 2 days, you can get the food of that particular place under one roof instead of going to multiple. You can go to multiple places as well, but at least you can taste the regional food. Not, in fact, I should not say the popular dishes, but the regional dishes of that particular place under one roof. Like, I'll give you another example. We were in Kalimpong near Darjeeling. So we went to a restaurant called Cafe Kalimpong. So what he has done, he has come up with a street food platter, and it's not the street food platter has just the food of say India. It's the food from the Kalimpong, the popular delicacies of Kalimpong in just one plate. So that I think that should be replicated in other states of other cities of India as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll go ahead with one last question. What is the most unique experience you've had till date during food blogging?
My most unique experience in terms of food blogging. See, for me, like it's again very difficult to answer one unique experience because every day is unique. So whenever like I'm traveling or we are into a new state or new place, so it's the excitement of tasting the dish for the first time. So I think there have like been multiple unique experiences of being in different places with different dishes. So so it will be again like it'd be very difficult for me to answer just one unique experience. In every place, every new dish which we try has a unique experience.
Thank you, sir, for the amazing answer. That was a very enlightening session. We are thankful to you for this amazing evening, and we hope everybody had a great time. So with this, we have come to an end of the first e-talk session of the day. So tune in with us at 5 p.m. for our next e-talk with Mr. Kalpeet Vidwal. So thank you so much, sir, again.
Thank you everyone.
I guess.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.